to ciLiving, where I'm on location at the Vineyard Church here in Urbana as we are preparing for the Total Money Makeover live event featuring Rachel Cruze. And we visited with Rachel last week, and now we're here again.
I know, live in person.
I know, it's so exciting. It's a lot different than on satellite.
Yes.
No delays this time.
That's right, that's right.
So people may, know you as Dave Ramsey's daughter.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up, in that family?
Yes, I know, I get that. That's like the number one question I always get, and I always say, it was pretty normal. I mean, it's all I knew. Mom and Dad, we're not obsessive about money. People think that we had like budget parties and mutual fund like parades or something crazy, no. I mean, they were obviously intentional with teaching us how to handle money and how money works, so that's great. But they were great. I mean, it was pretty normal.
Yeah, and I know your dad kind of like hit the bottom when you were just a baby, and so you really didn't know any different, I guess. So how was that like, growing up on a tight budget?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I didn't obviously remember the initial bankruptcy because I was 6 months old, but the repercussions of it I do remember. I mean, I remember, shopping at consignment shops for clothes and going to garage sales, and we went camping instead of going to the beach like some families, on vacation. We really lived in a minimalistic kind of way, but I didn't notice it. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. And so Mom and Dad did great. I mean, we grew up, we had a happy family, and so the money stress we as kids never really picked up on.
Yeah, and you can find some great deals at consignment shops.
Yes,
for sure. Now, I know millennials these days, and even my kids, they're 5 and 6, they kind of feel this sense of entitlement. Like every time we go to the store, I want this, I want that, and they feel like they have to come home with something every trip. Any advice for parents on how to kind of curb that entitleism, I guess?
Sure, yeah. I think it's important for kids to know the value of $1. And the best way to do that is to make the money work connection. So I always tell parents, don't give your kids an allowance, put them on commission.
Oh.
So you work, you get paid. You don't work, you don't get paid. And they can start saving up, and they can buy a toy with the money they've saved. And when they get to be, 6 to 14, even break up their money from giving. Like you give first, teach them to give, teach them to save, teach them to spend. And so just the concept of working and making money, I think, really helps them see the value of $1 when they actually have to go buy something with the money they earned.
Exactly. It's a lot tougher spending your own dollars
yes.
versus Mom and Dad's.
So.
Now, college, obviously, very expensive, and you encourage parents to send their kids to college debt-free, but that sounds so overwhelming to like a young mom with young kids. Where do you start?
Sure. Well, if you have younger kids in the house, you can look at funds like an ESA, which is an educational savings account, or a 529 plan. So those are great college savings options. Now, if you have a student going to school next year, you're like they're a senior in high school, just go to an affordable school. Stay in state, or even go to a community college. Work. Get a job. If the average college student works 20 hours a week, they can pay their way through an in-state school. So get that job, start working, and then scholarships and grants. That's free money. And so if you do that, if those are kind of your boundaries, then there is ways to go to school debt-free.
Yeah, it sounds challenging, but I'm sure it can definitely be done. Now, you've been doing these tours now. You've been doing some with your dad. What's it like being on the road with Dad?
It's fun. We have about 8 events a year that we'll do together, and it's great. I mean, it really is fun, and I think it's kind of fun for the audience to see a different perspective into the Ramsey family, me being his daughter. But it's really great. It's cool. We're kind of on this idea of legacy and really changing your family tree, and so we kind of are a leading example of that. With us being older, our Mom and Dad's kids, us, and so yeah, it's been great. It's really fun.
Yeah. Now, if you didn't do this and grow up in the Dave Ramsey family, what do you think you would be doing different, or where do you see yourself?
Well, money-wise, I probably would be a wreck because naturally I'm a spender, which you'll hear today. And so, learning to be on a budget and all that, it's hard for me. And so I'm just like everyone else. I've learned to do it. I've learned to be responsible. But when it comes to money, I'm so glad I was put in this family because I was able to learn responsibility with it,
yeah.
for sure.
We did the Financial Peace University
yes.
at our church,
yes.
and your dad was the reason I couldn't buy a pair of boots that I really, really wanted. I remember even posting on Facebook, "Dang you, Dave Ramsey, I really wanted those boots." But it is, like you mentioned earlier in the week, it is common sense, don't spend what you don't have. Now, speaking of spending what you don't have, credit cards are a big thing these days, and I know people who say, "Oh, but I pay it off every month. We get great rewards. I get the miles. I can go to Disney."
Sure.
What's your thinking on that?
Well, over 100 million people do not pay their credit cards off every month. So that's kind of a lie, people that say that. The most people do not pay them off every month. And the idea of just saving up and paying for something, even if it's airline miles, even if it's those points, 95% of the wealthiest people in America say the #1 key of building wealth is getting out of debt and staying out of debt. And that includes credit cards. And so I hear that, I'm like, I've never heard a millionaire say, oh, well, I made all my millions on those Discover points, right? Like, those airline miles really took me over the top. No, you budget, you spend with money you have, and so that's what's key, and I think that's the best way to win with money.
And you're okay with debit cards, though?
Yes, yes. Debit cards are great. Yeah, attached to your checking account. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. So what's next for you? What projects do you have in the works?
Well, Dad and I actually just finished a book that will launch in April, and it's all about talking to parents about how to teach their kids how to handle money. It's called Smart Money, Smart Kids, and yeah, we're really, really excited about that.
All right. Well, something I'm really excited about is getting ready to hear you speak here in just a little while. Thanks so much for having us out here. We really appreciate it. I'm sure lots of people are going to learn some valuable information today concerning their money. It's Rachel Cruze, and if you need any more information, you can follow her on Twitter, or she's probably got a website.
Yes, rachelcruze.com.
Okay, and we will share that on ciLiving.tv after today's show.